So one of the really difficult things as a parent to do is have a conversation about, growing up and body changes and sex. I mean, how do we talk to our kids about what's inappropriate on the internet? Because some of the images would be very graphic, and I'm not sure it's a challenging thing to have with any child to have a discussion about something like that.
I think some of it will always be guided by they may find something and you need to talk about it. If that happens, it's the whole, do you shut the laptop and say, oh, let's have a milkshake and go in the other room? Or do you say, right, what do you think? Is there anything you want to talk about? What's upset you? What's disturbed you? And remembering you're the grown-up, and sometimes you've got to do something you don't like to do, and this is one of them.
No, I think, it is quite delicate things because, the sex kind of question is a bit like odd, but at some point you've got to face it, and I guess this is the same.
I remember when I was 14, umpteen years ago, that the greatest source of growing up facts for girls was the Jackie magazine that came out on a Thursday and the 3 or 4 problem pages. And everyone would sit there and you would see the girls sit there going through the oh yes, and you could see them having those conversations. Kids don't read magazines like that these days. They're taught to go to the internet for facts. So we have a very fine borderline where as a child's growing up, the awkward questions that they can't ask us as parents, the internet has become their first port of call. And it goes back to educating, because actually it's not about what you find out, it's actually where's the information come from.
But it's the same content they had in the Jackie magazines. Just a different delivery mechanism. It's a more dynamic and real world.
Giving them an armoury of websites that they can use. Giving them, if they don't want to talk to you about body changes, about boys, about girls, about sex, about sexuality, relationships, giving them bona fide endorsed websites that they can go and use. And if they go off piste and use a different one, then you can use your parenting skills to hopefully educate them and guide them back.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, our children will always push boundaries. And if they're not pushing boundaries, they're not being children.
And they often know a lot more than we give them credit for. And they've heard a lot more in the playground than I believe that they may know. So sometimes what they're finding out or what you've seen them looking at online isn't, oh my goodness, they've Googled the wrong thing. It's they've heard Jimmy say something and they want to check their facts. They're not always as innocent as us as parents like to believe.
Right at the beginning of a child's career these days in school, they're taught to use the internet to go searching for things. So if they're taught that this is a place to go look for answers, you have to teach them that what you find isn't always true, isn't always accurate, so you have to give them those skills that we never used to get to. We went to university about questioning who's telling you what, why they're telling it to you, where it's coming from.
But there are also, I mean, we're all in a technology bubble. So what about the parents that are outside that bubble that don't understand the technology?
I think that's where school does have a responsibility to have classes, either workshops you can attend. If you're in an area where parents aren't that engaged in the school, then at least information that they can take away home with them of what they are teaching the children. This is one thing, my daughter's just started primary school, and I keep asking, what do you teach the children, so that one, I know I'm happy with it, and two, as you say, I can reiterate those points at home. I think it's very important giving them ownership. If your children, or if children in general feel like they have made the decision, whether it's through your guidance or something that they may just come home and think, then they are more likely to do it. If you are telling them, you should not look at this is not appropriate, I'm not allowing you this, then they're going to be resistant to it. If they've got ownership of it, they're more likely to want to follow it.